Hello, this will be a tutorial for how to build a solar powered car. I'm going to be guessing most of the dimensions for this drawing because I am not in the workshop right now, so you'll be measuring your own lengths, but we're going to get a general car with wheels, some sort of solar panel, a basic design for an engine, and then we're going to try to get to an orthographic projection and a isometric drawing for said car. So we have here Fusion 360. The first thing we're going to want to do is start by making a new object. So to do that, we are going to press create. We're going to make a sketch, and we're going to sketch in the ZX plane over here. And let's just pick a 2-point rectangle. I can press this as my starting point, and for the dimensions of my particular piece of, we're going to make this out of core flute, but the approximate dimensions, let's say, are 200 by 13. That's probably a bit big. 200 by, that looks a bit better. No, let's just do that. So 200 by 100 millimeters is the length of the core flute, and we'll get some sort of exotic shapes out later. But so let's press this home button over here in the top right hand corner, and it's going to give us this view so we can see that looks right. We're going to finish the sketch, and so now we have our drawing. We used a rectangle, and because we closed it off, we have the blue border. So it's a blue fill in the inside. Depending on what version of Fusion you have, it might also be yellow, but the point is it's clearly a solid color. So let's make this into a 3D object. Let's go Extrude, and by default we already have this selected. If I didn't have it selected, so let me just press the escape button a few times. I'll press Extrude. Let's say I have nothing selected, or when you have multiple shapes and sketches, over here the profile, which is the shape that you want to make into 3D, you're going to click this face over here, and you can click and drag and make it into a 3D object, but I know that our particular piece of core flute is 5 millimeters thick, so I'm just going to press 5. And then everything else here is fine. We don't have to do anything else. We're not tapering it. We're going to make this into a new component instead of a new body. So press over here, we're going to press new component. This will allow us the option to, if we want to get joints or other components to move relative to each other, we need them to all be individual components. And we press OK, and then if we look over here on the side, we have this is our component, so we can hide it, so that's how we know that that is the component there. And we can rename it by, I think I'm just triple clicking it with the right click, left click button, and we're going to call this let's call this the base, so we know what part we're talking about. So that's our core flute, and we can right click this, we can make this a physical material. So yeah, again, we'll right click this, we'll go to physical material, we want to load up some materials here, we want to make it out of a plastic, and we want an ABS white plastic, like this one is probably fine, but let's see if there's any other options. Now core flute is not, I'm not sure if core flute is made out of ABS. But it will be good enough for our purposes. So let's just go get ABS plastic. Now we can just click and drag that right over here, and now it's a nice white surface. It's going to look good when we do a rendered drawing. So core flute is a piece of plastic that has holes in the middle, so it gives itself relatively good strength for light weight. So we're going to press the sketch button again, and we're going to click the side of our rectangular object over here, and we are going to make the holes for our core flute. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to make a 5 by 5 millimeter square. So this is going to be, I want to get this, I'm going to basically copy this several times. So our core flute, let's go, and we're going to make a square inside here, and this internal square, we want it to be, how big do we want it? We want it, if we make it this big, of 4 by 4, that means we've got 1 millimeter of core flute, which material, which would be fine. And if we were to press OK, this would be fine. The only issue is if we copy this, which I plan on doing, showing you the copy tool, see how this wall over here is going to be twice as thick because it's like two pieces of core flute next to each other. So let's modify it, and instead of the core flute being 4x4, we're going to press this dimension button, and we're going to, this wall to this wall, I want this to be, so it's 0.5, so we want it to be half that size, so we can go 0.5 divided by 2 will give us this length, and we can do the same thing over here. We can make this 0.5 divided by 2. You can plug in formulas into this text chat for Fusion 360, and so we have that. I will then, I want to delete this other shape that we're dealing with so it's not confusing, and I also want to delete this wall, so I want to delete these additional lines because we don't need these lines anymore. So we have this, it's not exactly a square anymore, it's slightly rectangle, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy this down our entire piece of plastic here so we don't have to draw the individual squares. We are going to use the rectangular pattern tool. So that tool is if you press the create button down here and you go down to rectangular pattern, it says it duplicates a sketch curve in rows or columns. So click the rectangular pattern. The objects we want to select all 4 of our lines in this particular example. Then we want to pick the direction. We're going to follow either the top or bottom line, pick which one. Let's do it to the bottom. And then as we drag this line, see how we already have these squares showing up. So what we want to do is, we can obviously increase our number. Right? And then we can move them so they sort of fit. One of the options we have here is we've picked extent, which means for this particular length, which I believe the length here, let's say 50. So what it does is for 50 millimeters, put 9 copies or 10 copies. And now if I change it to 11 copies, it tries to fit that many inside that extent. What we want to do is instead of extent, we want to change it to spacing. So what it does is it says for this shape over here, how long till we go to the next shape? Because we know that our square 5 millimeters, no, it's slightly less than 5 millimeters. Our square is 4.5 millimeters long. Right, I think it's 4.5. Nope, it's 4.5, so we want 4.5 plus 1. 4.5 plus 0.5, so it's 5 millimeters. Cool, we've done that, and now all we have to do is just increase our number of them until we get to the end of copying it until we get to the end of our piece of core flute, and then we press OK, and now we automatically have all these rectangles. Now let's finish that sketch. So we have these rectangles over here. Let's go press the extrude button again, and we want to select all these we want to select all these squares. Alright, we've selected all these squares. Now, when you automatically pull out, in Extrude it's going to make it to join, so it wants to make a new object. Instead, we want to bring it, if we bring it into the model, it changes this to cut. So it's going to cut a hole out, which is what we want with our core flute. And if we just drag it all the way through the product and press OK, we have now a nice piece of hollow core flute, which will start to look very nice and will mimic our actual model quite nicely. We can also, let's go back to our 3D view. Let's say we want to make some interesting cuts. Let's say we want to make the front look a bit more sporty. Let's go back to create sketch. Let's press the top again. Let's say we want to make like a 25 by we want to make this little angle bit over here. So we want to cut that out of our object. And let's say we then want to be super fancy and we want to also get a we want to get a fillet over here at the back. So let's make an arc. We want to press the center over here. So all we just want to do is make the back smooth, just to show off things we can do. So notice this shape over here. Let me just hide the body to explain what I'm saying. Where is that original sketch? We don't want that original. Oh, we do want that original sketch. So we want to finish this sketch, and now we want to cut these two corner bits off. But notice how they're only going to be on one side of the car. So we're going to learn how to use the mirror function as well. Let's go back to that sketch. We can right click that sketch, edit sketch. We want to find the halfway point. If we scroll our mouse down here, we should get to the halfway point, which is what that triangle represents. Let's just draw that line down here. And we're going to use this tool over here, which is the mirror, which we can also find it by pressing down on our create to get mirror. We want to mirror this line and we want to mirror this line. So we have two things selected and we want to mirror it down here. So now we have the mirror down there. And if we press OK, exit this sketch, we are going to do the same. We're going to use the extrude, and we can do the same thing. We can extrude this down and cut it out and it would look cool. But let me teach you another thing that you can add to your arsenal. We can go extrude. Let's say you want these two inner pieces. By default, we're going to cut them down, which is, the drawing doesn't like that at all. But what we can do instead is we can do intersect. So what it's saying is for this particular surface, intersect is saying as you go through here, find in this model the parts that overlap between if you were to extrude it and the previous model. And if I press OK, now we have this nice looking piece of core flute with the extra effort we put in to make these holes. Makes it look really, really nice for our car. Let's go and make a wheel now. So I just want to hide this base, so I don't want it to interrupt our sketching. Let's go press our sketch button. Let's pick a plane that works for us. Let's do this plane over here. So we want to do this wheel, and let's do just a very simple wheel design. We can, let's say our wheels are, I believe they're 50 millimeters. So we're going to do half the wheel and we're going to rotate it. So we want a 25 millimeters high. Oh wow, we're really zoomed out. 25 millimeters high, and our wheels are 20 wide. And so we'll press OK, and then we'll finish that sketch. We'll go to press the home button. We want to use the Revolve tool. Press the Revolve tool over here, we get a sketch and we rotate it around a particular point. So we can press this Revolve tool over here. We select that face. The axis we're going to select is the bottom. And if we press that, it makes a nice looking 3D wheel. So this is a very good basic wheel shape we have here. But we can also start to be clever and get some free detail into this. So let's go back to that original sketch that we had. This one over here. Edit sketch. So we know we're going to revolve this sketch, and so we can start using the line tool, and let's start just making a wheel that is going to start to look cool. So we have this line over here. We know that our wheel goes down to this point over here. I believe actually we can go all the way down to the bottom basically, and then we can go we can bring that out there. For the outside part of the wheel, let's say we want to go to that doesn't look as nice as I wanted. We want a line over here, and then we go, this one goes out like that, this line goes out over here, And then we can also start, we know that this wheel is going to accept an axle, and I believe the axle is 3 millimeters thick. So let's, because we assume the axle is 3 millimeters thick, we know we're going to have a little bit of a hollow center. So let's get a line that is 3 millimeters divided by 2. It's going to be 1.5 millimeters, and so we want the wheel to be hollow. And let's say for this particular model, I know our particular wheels that we have in the workshop aren't hollow all the way through, but let's say some of them are, so we can, and again, it's going to look cool. So this is our shape. It looks like a weird looking eye. If we finish that sketch and go into 3D, we can do the same thing with Revolve. We just want to press this inner shape, and we want it to revolve around here. So now we have, now we're starting to get a nice looking wheel that this looks similar to the wheels that you see in our workshop. And again, we want to make this a new component, make it into something into 3D. Cool. We have this lovely component over here. This is our wheel, and we can also start to add some extra features to this wheel. Let's say this particular wheel, if we open over here, we can go to bodies. This particular body, this one is going to be black ABS. So do we have, let's say PBS black. We want this, and then we can, we know that, let's say the outside of the wheel is going to have rubber. So let's make the outside of the wheel while we have this model. We'll go to sketch, and then let's press this surface over here. We want our outside of our wheel to be, let's say 2 millimeters of rubber. Finish that. We want to press just this surface over here. We're going to extrude this, and we want this to go over the entire length of the wheel. And we don't want this to join. We want this to be a new body. So this should be a new body inside. Oh, okay, this is a new body. But the problem we have here is this is the component that we just had, the wheel. When we made a new body, by default, it wants to make the bodies in whichever, what is it called? Whichever is the active component. And if you don't select an active component, it's going to want to be produced in the origin. So see over here, if we hide all these individual components, the origin is what you begin with in your sketch. Let's see if you can drag it down. Can I drag this into here? Can I right click it and make components? No. Okay, so let's undo what we did there. So undo. So before we make this, see this little dot over here? If we bring our mouse over to this component number 2, which while we're here, let's rename this wheel. If we go near the wheel, we see this white dot over here. If we click that, that means this is the active component. So if we press this surface again and we go to extrude and we make it through here, again by default it wants to join, but we want this to be a new body. And so now if we press OK, there we go. This particular component has 2 bodies in it. This is why, or when we have components involve multiple bodies or multiple parts. If you think of it, if you look at a scissor has both the metal chopping parts and where your hands are gripping onto it is a plastic part. Each of the blades of the scissors would be a different component because they move relative to each other, but the plastic handle and the blade it's attached to are not moving relative to each other. So they can be separate bodies in the same components. So this one over here, we can rename this body over here. This could be rim, and this can be, let's spell tire the British way. This could be the tire, and when we do the tire, we can right click, we can make this physical material. I think we have rubber, but where would rubber be? Rubber might be under miscellaneous. No. I hope rubber's not under plastic. Oh, it is. If you put rubber here, we have rubber, and rubber is already, it has like a different, you see that different texture that rubber has. That's going to look really nice when we do our drawing. So I pressed close, cool, done. Let's say we also want to make this slightly more lightweight. We are dealing with a solar car here, so weight is of some importance. Let's say we want to make some speed holes inside here. Let's say our plan is to attack this with the power drill. Let's go to create a sketch. Let's sketch on this surface over here. We want to make let's say we get a power drill. We want to press here. Let's say we want to drill an 8mm hole into our wheel over here, and we can just pull that through, as we've seen, like with our holes in our we did it with our holes in our core flute. We can do it in a circular pattern as well by pressing circular pattern. Again, that's in create circular pattern. The objects we want to rotate is this disc over here. The center point, we can either pick the very center here, or we can pick any circle, and like it's going to assume that the center point it rotates about is the center of the circle. So we want this. By default we have 3. Let's go nice and get like 6 and press OK. And now we can press these, so we can finish our sketch. We can go to extrude. We can press these 6 that we have here, and we can cut those through and press OK. And so now, our wheel is now going to be lighter weight because we cut those holes inside our material. We have our wheel here, so let's look at our original base, and we see, oh no, that is not a good position for our wheel to be in. So we can move our wheel, but before we move the wheel, let's get the axle and the collar. I think it's called the collar, but we have our metal axle, but we also have like a blue plastic straw that it goes into to allow it to rotate. Let's make those first, and then we can just snap our wheels right onto those components. So let's just hide our wheel for now. Now we are going to make our new component. So let's go and deal with this active component over here, which is the base, whatever. Let's go and sketch, and we want to sketch on this plane over here. So I know we're going to get like this, it's like a straw material, it's like a plastic tube essentially. And this plastic tube is going to, it basically fits inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure. I already know what this length is, but let's say I didn't. Okay, 4mm. I click this over here. I just want to make a 4mm circle, yes, and I already know the size of the axle on the inside because when I made my wheel, I know that the axle length is 3mm, so I can press 3. That's my tube there. I can press finish. Let's go into 3D. We want this to be a tube. We want to press this, and we want to make this axle to go through. The length of this axle, well, we know that our car is 100mm, so let's make this slightly larger. Let's say we make this 105. It doesn't matter that it's all the way out there. 105 is going to be slightly annoying. Let's just make it 100 so we can fit it inside. I can show you some cool things. So this is our plastic tube, and this has to be ABS white as well. Ideally a whiter white than the other one. Oh, I made it into a body. That's fine, we can fix this. I did that mistake on purpose. This is the body over here. That is that we're going to eventually make the axle to connect into. We can right click this part over here, and we can say create a component from this body. If we click that, it disappears from the bodies over here, and it comes a component down here, which is what we want. And we're going to call this sleeve. This is going to be the sleeve that the axle will rotate in. We have this. Let's go and right-click sleeve, and let's make it a physical material. Let's look at our plastics, and resin would be nice. Oh, nylon 6.6. Now that's a good plastic. Oh, it's even a different type of plastic. Yes, different color. All right, we want this to go inside there. We want these to go inside the core flute, because that's just a convenient place in our design. We can press the move and copy button. We can like press this, right, and then we can manually fit it to where we want in our design. We can do that, and I mean, it's okay. It's really good if you know the actual dimensions of things, and I just happen to every part of my drawing here, I happen to like be with accurate to 1 millimeter, so I can line it up quite easily. Your other option is you might want to align it. So let's say before we do the move, we want to. Oh, did you get rid of that? The color? Thank you. Redo. I might want to align it. So let's go to the modifier. Let's go to the align tool. The align tool, I want to align this into this score. Which square do I want? This square over here. So I can press this. As I mouse over things with the align tool, it starts doing shapes. So it's saying, let me just zoom in so we can see that even better. This, as I hover over here, it says you want to align this, which in this particular case it is like the face of the circle at the edge of the cylinder. I can click this and it says, where do you want to align this to? Well, I want to align it to this particular part over here. Okay, it's aligned to there. Then, so I already have one dimension set, which is going to be more useful when we start doing our axle later. And then I know that I'm going to have to manually move it down, so I can click the object and... What did I select? Oh, let's go to move and copy. I want to move this body, and I want to move this body down until it fits inside this block, and then press OK. So now I have that. I can now, let's make the 3mm axle. That's going to come out as well. So we're going to do the same thing, sketch, and because I moved an object, it's going to ask me, do I want to keep my original moving of the object, or do I want to keep my current position as I move this, or revert it back to the alignment function I had previously? So I want to capture the current position because I moved that object down. Let's go and make this 3mm axle. Enter. Now this one has to be longer. I believe the width of our wheels are 20. So if I go and extrude this, we should have 100mm plus 20 plus 20 plus, let's say we want 5mm clearance on each side, so plus 5 plus 5. This is going to go through the entire length of the car. It's a long axle. And this one, we did the same thing. We should have made a component out of it. And this is going to be called the axle. And this is going to be, what material are you going to be? We can make this out of steel. So we can go to metal. We can go to, let's scroll down, iron, stainless steel. Ooh, do we dare to get stainless steel? Let's just go normal steel. We can, over it, a nice steel axle. This one over here is going to be easier for us to align, because if we go to align, we can go press align. We can press this face over here. We know it's going to be aligned in here, so we can press that, and our axle goes in here. And oh my gosh, what is this? I mean, I'm being facetious. I know what this is. The axle is longer. That's fine. We can press OK. We can, this one we're definitely going to have to drag it to get our shape that we want. So we know that if this is our 0 length over here, and if we go all the way in, that is 50. So we just want to move it half of that distance. So 50 divided by 2 means what happened there? Maybe I can't do formulas for that. We want it to move minus 25. Thank you. And so now that should be perfectly halfway. Now we can look at our wheel. Where is our wheel? Hello there, Mr. Wheel. We can do the same thing. We can now align our wheel to that axle, to that point over there. We can go, we can press align. We can press this particular... Nope, I pressed the wrong button. We can press align. We want to align this shaft over there with this. And so we have the axle on, and I believe it's done it in the reverse direction, so we can press flip, And there, look, we have a nice looking wheel on an axle. This is great. Done. We can do the same thing with the other side now as well. We can either remake our wheel, or we can just go and right click, and we can move or copy the wheel. So I press right click, move or copy. We can press create a copy. We can move this copy if we drag it out into a certain location. Press OK. Then we can do the same thing where we go move to copy, align, and we, just like the previous one, we want to align the wheel with this shape and this shape, and we want to flip it. I aligned it wrong. We want to align the outside. Yeah. Similar. We want to align this shape with... sometimes it's difficult to see the shape you want to align it with, so what we can do is we can hide the part and click there, and then we can find the vision. Yes, that's fine. Press OK. So there we have the two wheels on our design. And actually we can go super cheaty now, and we can go press move or copy. We can select components. We know we have wheel 1, wheel 2, axle 1, sleeve 1, and we can just... wrong button, sorry. Components, we want wheel 1, sleeve 1, axle 1, sleeve 2. We want to press make a copy, and this one over here, we want to make a copy further over here at the front. All we want to do is make sure that we want to hide this wheel just to make sure that we are aligned perfectly. That looks really nice. And so let's bring that back. And so we have all 4 of these wheels in here. Cool. Next thing we need to do is we have to we have to have a motor somewhere into this model. So let's go press create sketch. You have the advantage of being able to measure a motor on you, so I'm just going to guess what my motor looks like, and from memory I believe it looks something like I believe the motor looks something like this. 12. So I'm just making a circle and a square because this motor has like a flat top but it's curved sides. So I'm going to extrude this. I want to press this shape and this shape and this shape, and then the motor is about 30 millimeters. No, that's way too long. That is a small motor. Must be 2.5, 25. I mean, 25 looks... I think the scale of my motor is a bit small. We'll go with 20. We'll press OK, and actually let's go and just make this larger in general. So let's say I'm going to press the scale button. I want to scale this object. Uniform, let's say I want to make it... It is 20, so let's make it 50% larger, so 1.5. Yeah, we'll go with that. So this over here is the motor. We can even make it look really cool, like the motor has a green part in the back. So let's go and design that. We're going to create sketch. Let's sketch from the top here. Let's go and make a line like... Sorry, no, not a line, my bad, sorry. Let's go and get our motor. Let's make a plane at the back of this motor. So we want to make an offset plane. Press this and press the back there, and we want to go in 3 millimeters. Press OK. Then we want to press the split body. Press this body over here. Press the plane. So under the snipping tools, and what this is going to do is it's going to break this body into 2 different components. But before we do that, let's undo that action. What we do want to do is we want to right click. We do want to make this its own component because we forgot to do that again. Motor, and then we can do that thing. Split body, split this, get the wall. Okay, so now our motor should have 2 bodies. Wonderful. This one over here, we can make this one, this body over here, we can make this a light looking metal. Let's make this aluminium, even though it's not aluminium. And this one, we can make this one, we want this to be green. It's green plastic. Do we have green in our selection? We do not. Let's go and that's good enough. It's just the color. Doesn't actually matter on the performance, but it is going to make our thing look a bit better. Our motor also has an axle that goes through the center that will connect to our car, so we can make that. We can go to sketch. We can put this over here. I believe the motor also has a it's not 3, its thing is 2.5. Again, I'm just guessing this number. But we can have this going off here. We can extrude this going out. Let's bring it out 6 mil, and let's make this a new body. And so we can press OK, and in this new body, we've got to make the motor the active component, and then we can make it into a new body. 6, new body, okay, cool, and we're going to rename this one the motor shaft. This over here can be, motor body. That can be body 1, body 2, that's fine. And this motor shaft, to make it look good color-wise, we are going to this motor shaft, right click, we want to make it into some sort of metal shape, so we already have steel. Let's say this center shaft is steel, cool. Now let's go and we're going to put this motor shaft somewhere onto here, but let's go and also consider that this we want to make the some sort of gear that it's going to connect to. So let's make those gears where you have the advantage of being able to measure your gears. Actually, let's move this onto the ground first. So we want to align the base of this motor with this plate, anywhere on this plate over here. Press OK, and so the motor should now be at that height. And we can then move this motor. Right, if we press these rectangles, we can move it in that plane. So you just want to go anywhere over here, and we want to make our motor go somewhere over here, but we'll pick a more precise location later. Something happened. Why did this all change to the same color? Let me fix that. Let me just pause and find out what was the issue with that. Sorry, we're back. When I was applying the aluminium coloring, it made the whole model the same color. So I'll just fix that now. So you can see where we made that mistake over here. We want to right click, make this material, this one we want to make this one green. So you can actually either highlight over here, or you can highlight the individual body over here in the tree on the side. So we want to make this green. We want to make metals. We want this to be aluminium. If you don't, we want this to be aluminium. Yes. We want to make the motor the active components. Did I do it again? Hopefully not. No, okay. We want to make the motor the active component again. And when we make it the active component, we want to make that 2.5 millimeter. 2.5 millimeter, yes. We want to make that into, extract that out again, 6 millimeters. And we want this one to be a new body, and I already made it in the motor section, so press OK. Yeah, it looks like steel. We're fine. Let's go to work in this active workspace. Make sure we have all our lovely colors that we spent time doing. We want to align this with here. Press OK, and then we can drag this. We're going to drag this shape somewhere over here, and we'll get the exact location later. So let's go and make a gear. Now we don't have to actually make a gear. You do have that opportunity to make it. Fusion 360 does let you, but it gets a bit annoying. Oh, why not? Let's show it. I have infinite time. Let's go and hide. Which wheel is this? Right, this is wheel number 2. That's important to know. Okay. Alright, so we want to make a gear over here. We can make a gear. We can go to... where are they? Insert... Hold on. Pause. Okay, I found it. So you are in this tab over here with your solids and stuff. If you go and press the utilities, you can press the add-ons, and most versions of Fusions, if you press add-ons, allow you to make a Spur Gear. So you can click Spur Gear, and we're going to run, and we can make a gear. We know that our gear, we can start by making our gear by the number of teeth. We can physically measure the number of teeth we want, but we can, with our number of teeth, we can say that we want 55 teeth, for example. Where's gear thickness? I think it's the width. Don't worry about that. But we can make our hole diameter. We know our hole diameter is, everything's going to be 3 mil. So we press 3 mil, and then we press OK. It should make us, oh my gosh, that is massive. What happened here? Something happened. Let's go back. Add on, Spur Gear, run. We want our hole diameter to be 3 millimeters. Yes. Our teeth, 55. Yes, and so it says our pitch diameter here. Okay, this is how big our thing is. We don't want our teeth to be that big, so I believe it's the module. If memory serves me correctly, is that 55 times 12.7 equal? Okay, so we want our gear, if we actually measure it, it's about 30 millimeters. So what our module is our number of teeth times our module is our diameter of our wheel. So we know that we want it to be 30, so we can do 30 divided by 55. We should have 54 should be our 0.54. The root radius is cool. Change our root radius that it says there. So if we keep a module, let's keep our module as a, let's put 0.5, because we have to remember we have to have the same module for our second. We have to have our same module for our second one. So we have a gear thickness, we don't really care about that, but we do care about our hole diameter is 3, our number of teeth is 55, and our module is 0.5. So we just have to remember our module for when we do it on the other gear. Press OK, and now we should have a nice small gear that's not very scary. Nice. Okay, yes, this gear is a bit too thick, but we can fix that by going back to our solids. If we inspect this, we can see that this is 12.7 millimeters thick. So what we can actually do is we can press extrude, capture position. We can extrude by selecting this. Can we select this face? No. We can press this face, we can press extrude, and then we can should be able to go backwards. Yes, cut. We know it was 12.7 originally, so we can do 12.7 minus 12.7 plus, let's say we want it to be 1 millimeter thick. minus 12.7 plus 1. This should give us a 1 millimeter thick gear, which is what we want. So now we can get this and we can align this gear. Press the align tool. We want to align this with this part over here. Okay, and let's flip it. There we go, so it's on the outside. That's our gear. We might also want to move it slightly outwards. So let's say we want to move it 1 millimeter in here, just so it's not touching, gives us a nice bit of space. Okay, now let's make the gear that we're going to put over here. So we can do the same thing. We can go to Utilities. We can go to Add-ins, Spur Gear. Our root was 0.5. That's the important thing we've got to remember. Oh, it already has our last things over here. That's good. Now this particular, let's say it's 11 teeth is in our Spur Gear. It's actually usually less. Let's say it's 8. Oh, the center hole is too small. Okay, so it has to be larger. Let's go 12. Pitch number 6 mil. Yeah, that could work. Press OK. Cool. This one, let's change our thickness. So our thickness is going to be, this one is actually going to be thicker. This is going to be 3 millimeters thick. So in our gear thickness, press OK. This is the lovely little gear. Oh, look at that cute little gear. Let's go back to solids. Align. We want to align this hole with this over here. Nice. Look at that. We have those two gears. They're almost ready to mesh. So let's go and press OK. Let's move it down a bit more so its location makes sense. Oh, silly Billy. I made it 2.5. Can I cheat and fix an answer? No. Okay, let's just do it again. Okay, it keeps our last thing over here. Our hole diameter was actually 2.5. Okay. Oh, what did I do? Stop. Utility. Add-on. Spur Gear. 11. 3. Enter. Yes, that's what I want. So this one over here, we can delete you. Yes, delete you, please. Thank you. This one over here is the one we want. This is the one we want to move. We want to align. Let's just align this shape with here. Cool. Awesome. Are they touching? Yes, that's what we want. We now want to move these gears, and the trick is, if we press line over here, do you see? I'm going to hide this other wheel just to make it easier for us. See how with these gears, see how there's these green lines? These are the circles. If we get these two circles to match, then our gears will work. So we can click our original car. Oh, sorry, not that. We can click our gear, and we actually want to move our gear in this direction. Why aren't you moving? Move this component, and we want to move it so it's those green lines are basically touching. So we need to do a bit of a finessing. So minus 2.5 is, no, that's too much. Minus 2.3. Oh, that's probably pretty close. Let's go 2.5. If anything, you want it to be slightly less than touching. Okay, and then we can even we can rotate this so it looks like so it looks like it fits inside. That's probably as close as we're going to get for all intents and purposes. That's all we need. So we press OK. So now what we want to do is we want to realign our motor by pressing Modify, Align. We actually want to align this part of our motor with this. Cool. And then we want to align. Press. Can we change our angle? No. Okay. Press OK. And then can we now align this with this. Is that working for us? It's not. Why is it not working for us? Let's go back. Instead of aligning them individually, let's just move them together. Let's press this piece and the motor. We can press the control button to press both, and let's just move them together. Do we remember what our movement was? It's 2 point something, right? Minus 2.25. I think that's, yeah, that looks like it's as close as it'll be. Okay, and now we can rotate this spur gear. Rotate the axis we want to rotate about is this center axis. And let's rotate it just to look like that. Cool. Press OK. These gears over here are made out of white nylon. So let's select these. Right click, physical material. Nylon 66, I believe they are, which we already have nylon 66 here. Awesome. We can make that nylon. Beautiful. They're both nylon 66. We can reveal our wheels. Nice. Last thing we're going to do is we are going to add a solar panel, and then we can start doing our drawing. So let's say, uh-oh, what happened? Oh, these were hidden. Cool. Wheels are done. Nice. Where are you? We don't need you anymore, Mr. Plane. Cool. With these, do we need these circles still? We don't need these circles anymore. These circles are from the gears. Okay, so our solar panel, let's say, we could get drawing some core flute, but you already know how to do core flute now, so you don't need me to show you how to do that. So let's go and capture position. Let's just go make a piece of solar panel. We can measure it. Let's say our solar panel's that big. It's not that big, it's slightly smaller. Let's say our solar panel is that big. Press OK. Cool. Extrude it. Our solar panel is 2.5 millimeters thick. Cool. Our solar panels also have smooth edges, so we're going to press the fillet button, which is this one over here. Fillet, yes. And then if we drag it down, we're going to get a nice looking curvy edge to our solar panels, which make them look more realistic. Now we want to get an image onto our solar panel to make it look like a solar panel. How do we do that? We don't really have to worry about that. We can just make this black in our drawing. So again, right click, create component. Thank you. And you can rename this the solar panel. Cool, we can make that the solar panel. For this particular design, let's just make it a black color. Discrete component, that sounds good. Yes, cool. Let's go and we're going to move this now. Let's say we're going to manually move this component. Because in our car, our solar panel might not actually be like soldered onto our car. We might be moving it. So let's just bring it into one location like this, and then our solar panel's raised up a bit. We know our solar panel's angled because we're going to get some sort of device. And let's just keep going until it looks kind of right. So let's say, yeah, that's our solar panel. And we can get core flute to support it later, but let's just say that's our design. So let's get to the important part of our drawing now. So we have this car, we save it. We save this under, well, not stage 6 engineering. We're going to name it as under new folder. Actually, no, not that. New. We want to save it as a new project. And it is called the solar car. Solar car save. Cool. So we have this design. Now let's get it into our drawing form. So we're going to go to design, we're going to press drawing from this design, and we can press our full assembly, which is all our components. We can press OK. And now it should load up the drawing screen. In this drawing screen, we have my name, we have the solar car, we're doing our car from the front, which, I mean, just because of the way I picked my XYZ, the front is actually the side. Not that concerning. What else we know is this is going to be 1:5 scale. As I rotate, if I move my mouse around the screen, we see that's actually quite a small picture of the car. So let's actually make it large. Let's go 1 to 2. 1 to 2. It's slightly larger, that's going to be better. Everything else is fine. I'm going to click where I want my center to be. So where I want my primary view to be. They use the word base view. So I click there. And then once you click it on the screen, it takes a bit of time to load because it's getting all the technical drawing details of your design. And then you press OK. And there we go. There is our full technical drawing of our car, including gears, wheels, core flute. Wonderful. Now let's get our orthographic projection, which needs our top and side view. So let's press projected view. Let's click this, and then if we go up over here, and if we go over here, I believe the version of orthographic we have over here is it's the version where it's going to if we go over here, it's going to give us the back view, and if we go up, it's going to give us the bottom view. So we might have to rearrange our views to bring this. We might have to change our particular drawing. So we have the car here. We project it going down. Yep. And let's actually move this over here a bit more. And then if we get this view over here, now we'll get our front view. And we'll press enter. So now we have the side view, the top view, and the front view of our car. And again, if we did some more details with our solar panel, we could do that. Now let's get some dimensions. If we go to the dimension tool over here, if we just press D, we can get default dimensions. It tries to be smart depending on what you click with the mouse. So if I click dimensions, if I click the rubber wheel over here, by default it gives us the mathematical sign for diameter of 50. So I can click that, and now I know this is a 50 diameter wheel. I can also, if I press this line and this line, right, it automatically gives us 200. To mean that length over there is 200 millimeters. So I already know that I can start to, when I design my core flute, I know I need 200 millimeters for that length, and I can do this length over here for 100. I can even do more detail, like I can find the length between this and this dot over here. I know this is 25, and I can do the length between this and this dot over here. I know that is 10, so I can know that that's what that corner is. I can get this radius of 10 out. I can get the information of like, let's get these from here. I can get my wheel span. We know it's a 150. It doesn't show the axle is hidden underneath it, so we can't see the our little pieces of sleeves. That's just because of the version of the drawing we have. We can't find that. We can find information of, like, we know this is our motor, and our motor's underneath the solar panel. We can do things like, can we get the middle? We can find out, because if we want to know where we want to glue the motor, we can click this over here to know that this is where we need to glue our motor to our car. We know these are like our beginning and final lengths of our motor. Not the prettiest looking way. I might want to find a better way to display that with another view, but you could do that. You don't get things like the teeth. You can't tell it to count how many teeth is inside here, because it has converted this into a drawing. So these are all individual lines that it's done, like similar to Adobe Illustrator. So it doesn't know that this is a gear behind here anymore. Like if I move my mouse over here, it's not detecting the gear anymore. So you can get individual components like circles. That works fine. We don't have to do the dimensions of our core flute, but we might actually get the thickness of our core flute, because when we're designing it, it's good to know how thick our core flute was. 5 millimeters. We might want to do this dot to this dot, because that is how far away our axles are. You can also, I believe, can you click this? No. I think you can. I'm no longer in dimension view. I think I can click this. I think I can. Can I draw that out? No, I can't. Never mind. So I got this. Then when I'm ready to actually export this, I can press over here to export, and I can export it as a PDF and put it, send it. Once it's a PDF, I can add it to my report, or I can send it to the printer, whatever. Let's go back to the solar car. So we'll save our work. Yep, solar car drawing. Thank you. Ortho, standing for orthographic projection. Cool. Let's go back to our solar car. Let's make another one. Let's make the isometric drawing of the car. Design, drawing, draw from design. Let's take advantage of all the lovely colors and details we put into this car. Let's press OK. Let's load it up. Over here we have options. So the orientation we want, let's go and pick isometric. So southwest, isometric. So as we hover the car over here, are you going to? Where are you, Mr. Car? Oop. No, let's do another one. Nope, one more. That's the good one. So just play around with the different isometric views. So northeast isometric view is a good one for us. I think we can make this 1-to-1 in this particular drawing. Oh, very, very nice, yes. And then can we move it? I think we can press OK, and once we can move it. So now we have that lovely drawing we have there. And we can even, can I change this? I think I gotta double click it. Sheet settings, no, not that. Let's go back, right click, edit view, is that the one? Okay, edit view. I can actually press the shade button over here, and it's got our full it's going to get our car. We can even do shade with hidden lines if you want to see. I mean, it looks a mess in our case because we have all the core flute, but we can press this button to get the shaded isometric view, which is a really nice version of our car. Or again, we can do 2D. We can do 2D with hidden. But let's just say we pick shaded for our isometric view, and we can press close. Cool, and then we can go to save this. Same thing, we can export this. ISO. And the last thing we want to do is let's get out a rendering of our car so we can add it to our report and look really nice. Let's go to render. Alright, so this is our car over here. If you actually press, this is the cube over here in the top corner, which we can rotate the particular design of our car. Let's just press this view over here so we have this nice 3D view of our car. Let's pick where we actually zoom in is how our render is going to look, so we want it to be at a nice pace. Let's go a nice location, sorry. Let's go to press the render button over here, and let's just do a local render because I believe that my computer is a beast when it comes to doing this, but we just want standard render. This resolution is fine. Let's press render and see how it works. I might have to pause the video to come back, but I'll tell you how much time elapses for the render. Okay, that took 2 minutes to render. You could do it through the cloud, so you don't have to. When you do your render options, you can always pick the cloud render, especially if you have the student edition. Use render tokens, but you should have unlimited of them if you have the proper student account, and it means you're not wasting. Laptops don't really perform well in render, but if you have a desktop or a fairly modern desktop, you can do sometimes you can do local render faster, because by the time it takes to upload it and download the image, it's sometimes faster to do it yourself. But we have the image over here. If I click this and zoom in, well, not zoom in, but if I click it, we have a nice 3D version of the car, which it has these lovely looking shadows. And I mean, I have black wheels, so it's not looking amazing with detail. I probably should have picked the side with the motor and gears. Would have looked nicer. Actually, let me do that. Let me do a render of that quickly, so we can get this lovely detail here. And I believe we can also do things like we can add a scene. We can have a light source somewhere. Where are you, Mr. Light Source? We can flatten the ground. We can get reflections. Ooh, that's starting to look really nice. Our environment. Let's go get Let's do it in a dry lake bed. Skylight. Skylight looked nice. Let's download that environment and put that environment in there and see how that looks. Just drag it. Ooh, nice. So let's see if this one looks better, and I'll do this one on I can render this one. Render, local render, standard render, and I'll see you again in 2 minutes. Alright, that one took a bit longer. That was 5 minutes because there was more color involved. Let's look at that drawing over here. We should have nice reflections. And see, like we have the gear reflecting onto the metal casing. We don't really have that over here. But so it gives us a nice, and we get a better shadow underneath the car over here. You get that, it makes it look like a realistic version of the renderer. And again, we can save that. I believe we press this button over here to download it, and we can get that image and we can add it into our report. So we go back to the design space. So your car overview, you make your car with different components. I'm not going to show in this video how to rotate components because it's not really necessary for this task. But if we, in the future, show you how to get parts that can rotate it along each other, we can use this as a base model for us to do that particular work. And I'll see if I can get a downloadable version of this for you to open up in Fusion, or I can share this file so you can use it in Fusion 360, and then you can get out your orthographic projection and you can do your isometrics drawings as well. Alright, thank you and good luck with your Fusion.